he's got him. What a magnificent catch. Gilchrist off the club. That is a gem, a classic. Another one's gone. He's on a hat-trick. He's got it! Oh, Warren's dropped it. Can you believe that? Shane Warne, who got a hat-trick at the MCG, has dropped the hat-trick catch.
How could you do that to a bloke?
Well, it's lucky we're friends. He already had a hat-trick. I mean, myself and Merv would never talk to him if he got one more than us, so I just thought I'd drop one for him.
Well, the King of Swing's going to do our masterclass today. He's down the middle of the Adelaide Oval. You there, Flem?
Simon, Shane, how are you this
Mate,
afternoon?
have you two buried the hatchet?
It's taken a few years, but, you know, the positives were that he saved 4, and I reckon he did well just to even get to it, Warnie.
Yeah, I thought I moved pretty well for it, friend. Thanks very much, mate.
Well, people at home, the masterclass today, the Adelaide Oval, is swing bowling. If you hadn't already worked that out, you had a debut hat-trick, Flem. It's Damien Fleming who's bowling for Australia. Is this swing bowling a lost art?
I don't think it is, Heels. If we look at Nathan Bracken's series in the one-dayers in India, he just showed how productive a late in-swing or outswing bowler can be, especially getting out the top orders. But we're obviously, as coaching, we've always got to be aware to have 1 or 2 in the team.
Yeah, now, what is important to swinging? It's got to be a hard art. It's not prevalent in our game as much as it once was. What's important to swing bowling?
Well, traditionally, we say to have a side-on action to bowl out-swingers, and you're more front-on to bowl in-swingers. But I think the most important thing is the release. Making sure your wrist and your fingers are behind the ball, and making sure you impart a lot of backspin on the ball to make sure you get a stable seam if you're going away for an outswinger or in for an in-swinger.
Now, I've seen some vision of you doing a masterclass a couple of years ago, and it shows that release really well. You might talk us over that vision of the release out of your hand.
Yeah, well, as we see, it's important to obviously get it up there, but you can see the fingers well and wrists behind the ball there. Seam's very stable. It's important to get it up full, as we can see again, and really that backspin on the ball, because you really want it to swing as late as possible. And that's obviously the outswinger.
What are the differences between in-swing and outswing? What have you got to do?
Well, for me, I like to obviously angle the seam towards the slips. I used it with my wrist. Some bowlers just angle the seam like that. And obviously with your wrists behind the ball to make sure it goes that way towards the slips. And for the in-swing, I angle it down to fine leg. And the same thing, obviously, getting my wrists and fingers behind the ball. You
can get very technical, can't we, when we start to talk about why a ball swings? Have you got a quick answer as to why a ball does swing when the seam's pointed that way? It swings towards the angle.
Well, it's all about changing the surface on the ball. And if you can get one side to go through the air quicker, it'll obviously swing that way. So with a new ball, the seam is the important thing. It's like a rudder. So say for an outswinger, I've got it angled like that. As it goes through towards the batter, hits the air clings onto that side of the seam and takes it with it. As you get over, after about 6 overs, you obviously start to shine the ball and the leather deteriorates. So as that sort of deteriorates there, it gets like dimple-like on the golf ball, clings on there, and air goes over air quicker than any other surface. So then again, angled seam, this is the slightly rough side, that takes the ball away like that.
Yeah, the shiny side. Yeah, the shiny side is always on the outside of the swing.
Yes.
Is that right? But then it goes reverse, doesn't it? Sometimes, say 50 overs, you get that shiny side a little duller, a little rougher, but the rough side really rough, and it swaps over.
Yeah, the interesting thing there is it actually gets too rough, so the air doesn't like it as much as the side that's been shining. And because, you know, after 50 overs, even the shiny side will start to get cut and abrasive there, and so the air goes onto there, and it goes that way.
You know, the reverse swing is very prevalent today. Now here's that release, the outswinger. And I guess, what are you thinking here? A swing bowler, you've got to put the ball up there. The batsman can take you down if you don't get it right.
Definitely. So I used to obviously aim to go middle and off stump and just swing it away from the batsman. I needed to get it full, and I wanted to get him playing and get him to swing late. So after the batsman makes a decision to play his shot, that's when I swing or in or out.
Yeah, this is the in-swinger. Now, you said the body action not as important as the release, but you guys like to coach alignment these days.
Yeah, it's more important to make sure your shoulders and your hips are aligned to have a safe action, and obviously it helps with the efficiency too. But you still, like side-on bowler for myself, I still had to open up a little bit for my in-swinger, but it was more, as I said, to go from that release for an outswinger to that to an in-swinger.
Yeah, and your body action and follow through, that's important, isn't it? So even if you're side on, your follow through for an outswinger still has to be outside your front leg.
Yeah, definitely. Even if you're a front-on bowler, to still release a good outswinger, you will finish down outside the knee. And for in-swing, you'll finish or more in the middle.
How do you coach this? Like, how do you get a young player to get the feel of an outswinger or an in-swinger?
Good question, Hills.
Thanks.
We've experimented a little bit at the Cricket Academy to get the feel of an outswinger. We get some bowlers to come around the wicket and try and pitch the ball on leg stump to hit off. So that obviously accentuates the position to go like that. You can't get it to hit leg, to hit off with a wrist angle like that, can you?
No, we've got some angles that Hawkeye has made up for us, demonstrating just that. Around the wicket, so you're saying right hand around the wicket, landing on leg, hitting off or middle. That'll give them the feel. And the in-swinger?
And as we're seeing here with the in-swinger, we get them to go wide of the crease over the wicket, and we angle to hit off stump and then to hit leg stump. So we want that action, which we're seeing on the screen now.
It's the in-swinger. Generally, you can't bowl that as fast, can you? The in-swinger, the fingers will roll a little bit and take a bit of pace off.
Did you do a bit of swing bowling?
Yeah,
did you?
I wasn't the worst in the net, you know that.
No, I think it needs to be even slightly quicker, because for me, being an outswing bowler, I'll bowl an in-swinger, say, once every 3 overs. So I'll be setting him up, taking the cross, going a bit wider, and then hoping to get in the gap, and I want it to be slightly quicker.
Now, you've had 6 months at the Australian Commonwealth Bank Cricket Academy. How's that been as a bowlologist?
Well, I'm only 6 months into my bowlology degree, but it's going quite well. But seriously, it's been fantastic, and I've learned a lot, and hopefully I'm really finding it rewarding to hopefully get the best out of the players. So I'm sure I'll only gain more experience and hopefully be around for a few years.
And the academy now being incorporated into the Centre of Excellence, you're moving to Brisbane, so I'm going to have you in my backyard.
We're having a barbie, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I look forward to many, many more of those, Flem. Thanks very much today. Plenty of tips, but release seems to be important. Wrist and release, backspinner of the ball. Simon, is that how you did it?
No, Hills, I've never swung a ball in my life, I can honestly say that. But before you go, I saw you with the gloves on this morning with one SK worn in the early hours. How do you think they were coming out?
They came out very well. His mechanics a little bit inconsistent. Some things go well on some deliveries, and then that same thing, whether it's his back hip or front shoulder or back shoulder, he's just got to get it all back timing again. But I was most impressed the way they came out for a first bowl after 10 months.
Good on.